I do think a lot of people are going to look at that Packers game and say, ooh, you can hang with the Niners. You can hang with the Niners. I happen to think Green Bay is a damn good football team. And so are the Lions, clearly. But that I just keep going back to that Lions secondary, which gave up more than 340 yards passing to Baker Mayfield. And with the weapons that the Niners have, you can talk to me all day about whether you respect Brock Purdy, whether you think he's overrated, underrated. It doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, 2 straight years, he's taken his team to the NFC Championship game. And I think this is a spot where the Lions having to go away from Ford Field, out west, against a Niners team that finally came from behind and got a win. I actually like San Francisco here, I think, early on, Chelsa.
I don't think I want to lay the points, but if I had to lean towards a side, I think it would be the Niners. I do think they get right in this position. It is a great matchup for Brock Purdy to look a lot better in this one. Like you said, in each of the last 2 games, the Lions secondary has given up at least 349 passing yards. Not 249, 349. So this is a secondary that clearly can be beaten that way. And especially when you're getting some good news for Deebo Samuel. I saw this about, I think, 45 minutes ago. They said the x-rays were negative. So expecting that Deebo Samuel gets back in the game here, this offense should get a boost from that perspective. I do think this is a place where the Niners look much better. I think last week was kind of an anomaly. I think the Packers, or last week, yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Anyways, feels like an anomaly. The Packers much better than we expected. But for me, when I feel like I don't have a strong feel on a side, I look at other things. And I look at some props in this game. A trend that I noticed in the divisional round was rushing quarterbacks who are very good at rushing the football going over their props. You look at Lamar Jackson, rush for over 100 yards. You look at Josh Allen, went over his rushing prop in the first half of games. And it is because during the regular season, you're going to be more conservative running the ball if you're the face of the franchise. If the game is on the line and the season's on the line, wouldn't you think that offense uses its best weapon to its advantage? So I think you'd look at Lamar Jackson, you look at his rushing prop. I was interested to see what number they put it at. It's at 59.5. So I feel like that's a very gettable number for somebody who clearly is a cheat code for this offense. Also looking at some anytime touchdown bets, because I was also wondering how the books would adjust to Travis Kelce. Because in previous seasons, Travis Kelce was always minus 150, minus 160 to score a touchdown. And we know Travis Kelce has not been the touchdown scoring machine this season, only had 5 receiving touchdowns the entire year. But he's coming off a game where he had 2 receiving touchdowns. And this is the norm when it comes to the postseason. Think about the amount of reliable receivers that Patrick Mahomes has. You can count them on one hand. Feels like Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice. Feels like that's it. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco, even though he's a running back. So looking at Travis Kelce to score an anytime touchdown, that's plus 120. And also Lamar Jackson to run in a touchdown is plus 115. I think those are some good looks.
Ooh, I love that Lamar Jackson pick to get in the end zone for plus money. And I will say one thing that we saw last night in that Chiefs-Bills game, particularly early on, the Bills are running on the Chiefs. They were moving the Chiefs out of the way. Now, the Chiefs tied up a little bit later, but for a lot of the game there, Chelsa, Buffalo was having success on the ground. And so I'm not saying you can necessarily push around the Chiefs because their defense is very good. But also I think, as we've talked about throughout these playoffs, when you have such a talented quarterback like Lamar Jackson or last night Josh Allen, you just let those guys do whatever it takes to win. And Lamar, I feel like, will use his feet more than ever against the Chiefs. Chelsea, I'll put it to you. Isn't there a chance that we're saying the window is closed on Buffalo too quickly?
Yeah, I think it's still open, even though it does feel like in professional sports, it's not just about the quarterback and his age. It's about the contracts around him. And I mentioned this in the opening statement. The Bills have a negative number when it comes to their cap space going into next season. So that's just kind of how the league works, is that you have to hit this sweet spot of some of your younger guys being really good and not taking up a ton of salary. So I think that's the only thing going against the Bills. The quarterback comparisons Are we going to compare him to Jim Kelly? Maybe not stylistically speaking, but if anybody knows how Josh Allen is feeling, doesn't it have to be Jim Kelly, right?
I mean, it's a whole city of Buffalo. I mean, all those guys, they just, and sometimes, and also to be fair to the Bills, there were times when they just ran into great teams, right? Like they were good. Yeah, I always find it an interesting argument is that when you make 4 straight Super Bowls, and yes, the Bills probably should have won at least one of those, but is it, hey, they're such failures because they didn't win, or were they sort of overachieving to get to that point in the first place where you go 4 straight? Maybe overachieving is not it, but I think ultimately Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Marv Levy, all the guys who were part of that juggernaut in the night, they ran into just dynasty teams with the Cowboys. The Redskins smashed them. They should have won that. It's the Giants game. It comes back to that game against the Giants. They should have beaten the Giants. They should have 1 ring. They should have 1. And so, yeah, I think they're all feeling that.
I think the X factor now is the pressure that's going to be weighing on them because of this stretch, right? It's all in their mind now.
Jenks, you can go off book if you'd like. Who is your Monday MVP?
I am going Lamar Jackson, the soon-to-be MVP of the NFL. I don't know why you hate Lamar Jackson so much, Double D. Your beard is purple. What's gotten into you? What is going on? You've got Ravens purple on your beard. I know you think he's overrated, that you don't think he's as good as people say he is. I disagree. This guy's going to win an MVP for the second time in his career. He is the favorite to win Super Bowl MVP, and also he inspired his team at the half. They went on that run, 24-0 in the second half. He did something no quarterback has ever done since 1948, which is 100 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns in the air, on the ground, 100 passer rating. It's Lamar.
I think for me, I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey, a guy that's not going to win the MVP, but simply because he is a running back. But it didn't take long for people to see the stamp that Christian McCaffrey left on this game. And unlike the Ravens game, this game was very close. The Niners were losing this game. And you look at the metrics for Kyle Shanahan going into this game. What was the stat that we talked about? 1 in 30 under Kyle Shanahan when they trailed by 5 or more points entering the fourth quarter. You know the one player that can combat that? That is Christian McCaffrey. And 130 total yards of offense, 2 touchdowns on the day. And some of these runs that look like he was playing against middle schoolers. Like, it's crazy to me. He is the best player in the league. I know he's a running back, but for me, the MVP of the weekend goes to Christian McCaffrey.